Hello, everyone. So we'll start with this overview of the of workflows in Simcyp. Basically, workflow is a Simcyp graphical user interface tool. You access it by clicking on this button, workflow button on the menu bar. And then you have this set of tasks which you can select. So those tasks are repetitive action that you would need to do, for example, on dozens of workspaces. So this will do it automatically for you. You will be able to create new workspaces, basically, by changing the file version, for example, here in File Upgrader, or change the population, even several population in each workspace. You will be able to change model options. For example, if it's a pop-rep simulation or if it's a multiple virtual patient simulations, you will be able to change model parameters if you select them. You will also be able to change outputs. And finally, you will also be able to run workspace automatically. So let's go to the next slide. And the structure of these all these tasks is very similar, basically, but there are some differences. So when you change population, change parameters, or change model options, you need to prepare some workspaces. Say you have 50 workspaces that you have already worked on, and you want to change the population for all of them, going from Caucasian to Chinese patients, for example. So you can change that automatically, and this will create modified workspaces. The workspaces that are created in all these operations do not overwrite your old workspaces. So they are placed elsewhere, or they have a different name, and they live on your disk. You can also, if I go to the next point, you can also run workspaces. You have prepared workspaces, and you will run them automatically. And you will be able to output to Excel or database files on your disk. The next one is a file upgrader. This will take your workspaces in version previously to version 23 and will update them in version 23. When we move to version 24, you will be able to update to version 24. This is similar to running workspaces. Change outputs is slightly different from change population parameters and model option, but it's the same general framework. You have prepared workspaces and you will create a set of modified workspaces. And finally, the last two, batch compound and batch population, are also changing compound of populations, but now you take a single workspace and then you will indicate a list of compounds or population that you may have prepared in advance, your own drugs, for example, and then you will create multiple workspaces from this base workspace. And each of those new workspaces will have a new different population or a different compound. So that's the general framework. So that's very generic. There are general steps. So the demonstration that I will do in 5 minutes will go quite quickly, actually. So you prepare your task. In particular, you have prepared workspaces. You may have, in particular for batch operation, may have to prepare data files, which will be compounds or population files. Then you will show you select a set of input and output folders. Okay. Select option parameters you want to change, and then just process, and the new workspaces will be, or result of running workspaces will be created. So that's very simple. Basically, if you know how to use one task, you know how to use all of them. I will do an online demonstration after this slide. We will see run workspace and file upgraders. They are quite similar, as I said. Change population, change model option, change outputs are also quite similar. Change parameter requires you to tag some parameters in the Simcyp interface. So I will show you how to do that. And then we have batch compound and batch population. For the sake of time, since several of those tasks are similar to other, I will just cover basically first running workspaces, changing population, changing parameters, and then batch compound. Okay, so let me get out of this screen and I will go to Simcyp. A simulator, I started it. I have created, I should be honest with you, I have pre-created several, for example, workspaces, not too many because yeah, it could, this operation can be, yeah, you can operate on 100 workspaces. So I don't want to run 100 workspaces now. So I just created 2 workspaces. So I have prepared the workspaces to run or the workspaces to change, and I will use that in this demo. So let's go to workflow, click on this button. Okay, here we go. Okay, I want to show you how to run workspaces. So I click here, go to the button next. Okay, and then as I mentioned, I'm in the select input and output folder. This is a screen that you will always get for any task. So the input workspaces, I placed them here in this run me folder. Yes. I will put them, I could put them in the same folder. Okay. But in this case, yes, there is no risk of damaging or changing the workspaces. It will just be run and Excel or databases output will be created. But let me use a different folder. And I will put the result in run results. I will output to database. I can always take the database after that and process them. I could also ask for output, Excel output, or both, either one. Okay. This tells me that Simcyp found 2 valid workspaces to run. That's fine. That's what I expect. I go to the next screen and then click run. So it is loading the first workspace. Actually, you can see on the left, it has been loaded here. And then it is running it. It's quite fast. Okay. This gives you a summary of what has been run. So it can be a long list. You can do that on 100, 200 workspaces if you want. This is it. It's forming the output. For each of them, it gives me eventual diagnostic. You may have sometimes you have accuracy problems or a workspace is not fully functional, but you will have an error message eventually, and you can act on it. It will tell you which one. You can also even have a little report that basically summarizes what is on this screen so that you can look at it later and go back to your files you may want to change. And that's it, basically. Let me exit and let's check what is in this run result folder. Yes, it has created 2 databases that contain the results of my simulation, and they were created a minute ago. So that's very, very simple. That's hopefully designed to be simple. The next little demonstration will be how to change populations. It's slightly different. Let's go. Okay. Input workspaces. In which folder are they? They are in change population. Sorry, change me folder. These are the source workspaces. So in this change me folder, I have, let me check just in case. Yes, I have 2 workspaces. Okay. I could use the same folder for the output. If I use the same folder, remember that we do not want to destroy the old ones, the previous one. We want to basically create new files, new workspaces. Therefore, they must have different names. So in this case, if we use the same folder, you will have to assign a prefix, say my new file, for example. This will be the prefix for all files created, or you could also ask for a suffix or both, basically. But let's not do that, okay? Because, sorry, I have to change this first. I will not use the same folder, so I do not have to modify the names, and I will put the result in change population. Okay. Well, actually, maybe I should change the name so that I'm, when I go back to my disk and I go back to my folder, I know those are the new ones. So changed. Well, let's do that. 2 files to process. Okay, so I will have 2 new workspaces with change population in this folder, the folder I have designated. But now, which population do I want? So it proposes me to change a single population, the usual simulation. You can also change multiple population if you have a multiple population simulation. Let's keep it simple. Let's change the population in those 2 workspaces from healthy volunteer, whatever they are actually, to Chinese patients, for example. Okay, and let's run. Go this, click on run. And so now it is processing the 2 workspaces, yes, changing the populations. Okay, no problem here. And I have created basically, yes, change population. Well, that's a strange name. I could open them actually in Simcyp if I want, just to look. Sorry, I will exit my. Let's open this workspace. Yeah, it knows how to do where it is. So this workspace, basically, and it's now containing, well, using the Chinese population as a patient population. Okay, so that was one workspaces, change populations. If we were to change model options or change parameters, it would be quite similar operations. I wanted to show you how to change parameters. Okay, so let's do this. One thing before. I will open, because you need to designate. So let me go back to my original yeah, I will use the same workspaces. I need to designate in the Simcyp interface, and so probably in the workspaces that I want to modify, the workspaces can be quite different. So beware that if you are asking Simcyp to change a parameter that is not used in some of the workspaces, because you have different models, for example, then it will do the changes, but obviously since those parameters are not used, you will not see any effect. So, but yeah, you have to think about what you really want to do. So how to change a parameter? So I will go, for example, to my substrate, say absorption. Okay. It's a bit like selecting a parameter for sensitivity analysis or parameter estimation. I click on this, or right click on the box for example, FA, and select it for workflow. That is selecting for being changed in the workflow. Can also say change also if you get, for example. Okay. In some cases, you will see parameters that you cannot change. I can't find any for now. Sorry. Maybe if I go to trial design. No, I don't remember which one I cannot really change. There may be a few ones that I cannot change. Well, there are a few that you cannot change, but most of the useful parameters you can change. Most commonly used parameters you can change. So let's now go to workflow. We have made selections and change parameters. Okay, so they have been selected. Go to next. Okay. Okay, so which workspaces I want to change? They are in Change Me, that's fine. Okay, and where will I put the result? Okay, well, say change parameters. Okay, and modify file name. I will use a suffix. Okay, go next. And here is a different screen. You specify which parameter values you want to use. So both were at value 1. So I don't know, maybe the lab has given me a different value, and for all my the workspaces for my drug, I want to change FA or FUGUT. Okay. I can also reset it to the default value. But so you indicate which changes you want to have across all the workspaces. This will apply to all workspaces. Go to next and run them. And that's it, basically. FUGUT and FA have been changed in all those workspaces, and new workspaces have been created. So you can see, let's get change parameters. Okay. This is very fast to do. And the last before the question is how to do the batch compound. So use batch compound. In this case, I have one workspace, and I will make out of this workspace many variants, basically. Go to next. Now, this is an input file that I want to change. Okay. Batch, did I say batch compound? Open. Okay. Sorry. Batch me. It's here. Okay. Let's use this workspace. Okay. It is called here, as you can see, manual conversion. You need to have created this workspace in version 23 for this to work. We are thinking about extending it to previous workspaces, or but for now, you need to have created this workspace in version 23. Output folder, that's what I was pointing to. Yes, okay, select this batch compound folder. Then for each, so I will create many workspaces. So I want to differentiate between them. They cannot have the same name, and it wouldn't make too much sense to put the date and the time. So they will be called workspace, then compound, glued together, and you could add something like, you know, my workspace compound. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. So which substrate will you want? Well, you could actually, if you, for now, you can change the substrate, but which compound do we want to use? So let's select a few compounds. So I could select all of them if I wanted, but that would be a bit too much, probably. They have to make sense with respect to the obviously to the base workspace I'm changing, but let's select those one. Okay. So I have selected 3 of them. The list is given here. 4, sorry. Caffeine, clozapine, nifedipine, biforol. Okay. And then run it. This is very fast, actually, because it's always keeping the same workspace in memory. And so it has created 4 workspaces without any problem. Good. I can go and look if this has really batch compound. Yes, and so you can see the old workspace name and the new compounds which are basically used in each workspace. So we have created all those 4 workspaces, and now we could run them, do whatever we want with them. That's what I wanted to show you. We have a bit of time for questions. Let me get back to a presentation. I have a nice slide with questions. Any question I can answer?
Thank you, Frederick. We have some questions from the chat box. So the first one was about the output options you have. So are the databases always saved as a default, or is there an option to save the outputs without save the databases?
Yeah, you can. Sorry, let me go back to say Simcyp here. Exit. Say run workspaces. That was basically the question. Yes, you can output to the database, but you can, well, would not make much sense to output to nothing. You can output to Microsoft Excel only, or you can output to both. It's up to you. Does that answer the question?
I hope so.
Okay.
So the second one came through. It's basically 2 questions or the comments regarding running multiple workspaces.
Yes.
So I think well, they come across some like issue when if they manually run one workspace and then start the workflow, it fails. So they have to restart the Simcyp and the workflow start working fine. So any comments on that? Do we always have to open up a new like Simcyp and then start running the workspace? Then we won't run into any issue?
No, we are not requiring that. So that's, please, okay, that may be a problem either with the workspace or say plainly a bug in the software. So please contact support and we can help you with that. It should not behave like that.
So, yeah, I actually might run into similar issue, but I'm not sure whether that would be the same as you have really. So if I opened up a workspace that's within this like bunch of workspace I want to run, I need to restart, open up a new Simcyp and let it run. So that's definitely something we could look into and see if there are any issues there. We could
it may be putting a handle on the file and not letting you use it. That's possible, but that should we can fix that. Yeah. So sorry about that. Okay.
And
it's good to have your feedback, actually.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and do contact with us through the support so we could have a close look at your case and like investigate why we run into that issue. And apart from this, there are actually comments on how long the file name could be. So we have a long name that might lead to a failure to run the workspace. So do we have set up like a limitation on the sorry, not the file name, my bad. It's the file path. So it like save really deep.
It's well, okay, there are two things. One, this is a limitation imposed by Windows, and there's little we can do about it. However, I have noticed that in particular on virtual machine, or if I'm using OneDrive, and sometimes it complains that the file path is too long. Yes, this is a glitch and it's difficult because it depends on Windows. What I found the best when I had this problem, what I did, I know this can be impractical, but to use a copy of the folder, the workspace folder, that would be an immense a path on the system, make a copy on the desktop. And I have found that for me to work. If you have further problem with that, please contact support again. But yes, it's something that we are watching because it can also change between version of Windows and whatnot. So or OneDrive in particular. I hope this helped.
And then we got two questions or the comments. They are actually on the same topic. So when you say which parameter we could change, there are actually a few parameters on the interaction screen. We cannot select that for the change parameters. And it seems, or do we consider to include them in the future?
Yes, whenever we can, we will. Yes, for example, parameters which are in those grids tables cannot be changed so easily. I know this is a problem. We are actually changing the way those grids and tables of parameters are being programmed, and it's a question of programmatic access. So yes, in the future we plan to extend those possibilities of selection. Right. That's a current limitation, I must admit. Yeah.
Okay, and then we have a question asking, could you show the parameter workflow again? I think due to the time limit, all these things will be on YouTube shortly, so you may could go back and watch them again. So, and the last question is about, can we select some workspace files from the same folder, or always run all the workspaces file in the folders?
No, yeah, okay. So it's the latest option. All the workspaces will be run. So yes, you may have to hide or place in a subfolder or move to another folder the workspaces you don't want to run in the whole set. Yeah, so there are pros and cons. If you have 100 folders and you want to just run 25, you will have to click 25 times or something like this. Selection may be a pain too. So we figured that you might as well select them in the Windows interface and put them in a dedicated folder. There's no simple solution to that.
Okay, I believe that's our last question. And so there are no further questions. We will now bring this webinar to a close. I want to extend a big thank you to Frederick for guiding us on the workflow features. I hope you all found today's session both beneficial and informative. And to everyone who joined us, your attention and active participation are greatly appreciated. Should you have any additional queries later on, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And looking ahead, our next technical webinar is scheduled for the 13th of March. In this upcoming session, Felix will guide us through the key consideration to simulate an oligonucleotide in the Simcyp simulator. So this is a new module introduced in version 23. If you're interested in it, stay tuned and don't miss out. And once again, thank you for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.
Thank you, Chen. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.